guys, I'm Julian from Surf Pirates, and today we are really lucky to have Fred Hope here from Slingshot, and Fred is going to tell us everything about the One Lock system and how it actually works. Hey Fred.
How's it going? Fresh off the plane. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, so basically, just going to walk through how the system works. It's all about expanding into the collar. This is the piece we call down here, the mast foot. We've named it the collar. This is the neck of the front wing, the neck of the stabilizer. Basically what happens is they get shoved against each other and expand and lock into the triangle inside the collar. So you've got a triangle on the front wing that's almost identical with a little bit of space in there for movement for wearing over time so that it continues to stay locked in over time. And then this triangle here is identical to the one at the bottom of the neck here. So basically you slide it into this collar and it looks like this where you're pulling forward, and out of the factory, like out of the mold that sits right here, over time as you use it, could move like a centimeter or less, maybe a couple millimeters, but it's still gonna lock into that system because there's still space. You can see there's a little space in here for the stabilizer to continue to slide forward. So the idea is that even over time, there's no maintenance. You're not gonna have any play in the system overall because it will just pull closer and closer together and use this latch here to adjust how tight this line is. So you can pull it tighter and tighter. Basically what happens is, if we look at this mast, it slides. This part's a little tricky with the latch up. When it slides through, you can see, I don't know, you're not gonna see that in the camera, but there's a little bit of a gap below the neck of the front wing here. And then when this slides in, you'll see the front wing actually slides up a little bit and it locks into place. Then when you latch this latch down, it basically pulls the stabilizer in more and shoves the front wing down into the top of the collar so that there's no play in the front wing as you're riding. So it's pretty cool. It took us like 3 years to develop.
Just wanted to ask how long did it take?
Really long time. There was a lot of tests. We changed the geometry of the collar a bunch of times. The construction of the front wing, construction of the stab. We really want to make sure that it held together. No issues with sand. I don't know if you've seen my Instagram sand video where I just toss the sand in. Got a bunch of views. That one's pretty funny. It doesn't really affect it. I wouldn't suggest like throwing sand in it just for fun every time because it will it's probably not the best, but it's not really an issue. It doesn't get stuck in there after you're in the white water and getting sand shoved into the back. And then it was all about kind of lowering the drag overall in the system. So you see there's no screws along the bottom. There's a seam here and a seam here, and then there's a latch on the top. But what's interesting is with the latch being on top, when the water flows around the mast, there's already so much turbulence here that it doesn't really attach and then detach and reattach on the stabilizer. It's detached for a while until it passes that latch, and then it resets its flow. So you don't really notice the drag of the latch overall. And the other cool thing is, obviously with teaching somebody a new way to put a flow together, if you gave them a flow with screws, they tighten it down, they might strip it. That's snapping the head or something like that. We wanted to make sure that the stabilizer was not broken if the latch was tightened too tight. And so this latch is actually made to be slightly softer than the stabilizer. Because it's a really cheap piece to replace, right? And you don't want to end up crushing the carbon on your stab. So for the people that don't scan the QR code and read the quick start guide, because there's a lot of people that don't like to read directions, there is a second latch that comes with every front wing. So if you do screw up and accidentally tighten it down too hard, you'll just crush a little bit.
You have another one.
Yeah, you have another one, and it still does work when it's crushed. But better to just make sure to read the directions and you really understand how to put it together.
But you also would feel it like you have to push it down quite hard.
So basically what I tell people is you want to start at a 45. So if you're shoving the latch in here, it's hard to get into the little slot here, and here you're pushing really hard, that's too tight. If you get to here and it's still not quite enough tension and it doesn't make like a snapping noise when you tighten down, it's a little too loose. So you want it to basically start the tension at that 45-degree angle to the stabilizer, and then hear that click. I can show you here you can adjust the line so you see it's a little too loose right now. If you just back this little latch pin out, you'll notice if I go this far, it's a little bit closer, right? We have a little bit more tension, and then you can keep backing up. Still no tools needed. And you hear the click is louder, and then you'll find when you find the right amount, when I start tightening, that's kind of a 45, gets that pressure, clicks down, and you feel it pull the stab in further as well. So it sets the system up really well, holds it together, which is really nice. And then the other cool thing that happens, not very often, but if in the case that you use your front wing for a couple of years and you find like over time this latch string does stretch just a little bit, that's why we have this adjustability. If that happens to the point where you back it out all the way, where there's no more room to go, what you do is screw the pin back in, open this up, and you know how on a pigtail on a kite line, you make a little loop.
Yeah.
But when you make the loop, put it back on, put the pin in, and it basically resets the length of the line to 0, and you start again.
Yeah,
so it's pretty cool.
Safe for years.
Yeah, for years. And then as I said, there's also 2 latches that come with everything. So it's really nice in that aspect that you get that durability over time and adjustability too. So there's never really any play going on in the system, even after a while. And that's why it is differentiated so much from a lot of other foils, but especially Phantasm. Is in Phantasm, you'd screw the wing on, every time the wing would move a little bit, it'd kind of wear a little bit of that carbon. Screws can only take up so much of that slack, right, the movement, the little gaps. So in this system, the idea is that it just continues to pull closer and closer together. And I mean, you could probably ride it for 20 years and still have a little bit of space for it to go to keep pulling together. So it's really nice.
Could also make like the fuselage will become shorter, so it will grow with you.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, it could, but we're only talking like this much, But in theory, there is a little bit of, as it tightens up over time, your fuselage might get a little shorter.
What's more of a joke.
I know. But no, it's a cool system. We're very proud of it. It took a long time.
Really well.
But
the feedback we have now, like 2 of our employees were really stoked to have that in their setup now, and also from the customers that we have already been selling the one-lock system to, they're really happy about it. It's really finding more gearing up so much faster and quicker. It's great.
Yeah, it's cool. There's like the novelty side of like setting up and disassembling is so fast. And that's kind of the videos you've seen. It's much easier to show assembly time versus performance. But what's really nice is when you hand this foil out to somebody, if it's already set up, you don't even tell them anything about what it is, and you put them on the water. The first thing that they say when they come back in is, "Wow, that was smooth." And that's really because it's very stiff too compared to a lot of other mats, but that low drag because of not having anything along the bottom, the lifting surface of the fuselage or front wing or stabilizer, really helps to make it just feel like in the US we say like a Cadillac, and in Europe it's probably like a Rolls Royce or something.
I see what you mean.
So that's cool, and it's a platform that we're innovating in further and further. So you'll see in the future, like a month, we have a new front wing and new stabs that our higher aspect can get us more into that downwinding projection and really high glide, high speed, fast turning. So
great.
Yeah.
Thanks for explaining.
Yeah.
I think that was well done, and see you in the next video.